So this model says that when any stage, specifically the masculine stages, are satisfied with what they have, then they will move up in the stage. But this is a claim specifically that red will transfer up to orange, is my claim. Now we know each stage is very different from each other. So is it to say that each stage is a different ego? It could be that the red ego and the orange ego are the exact same thing. And when something is hostile, the split in the psyche creates a red ego. And when something is calm, the split in the psyche creates an orange ego. And this hypothesis would mean that stage orange has existed forever and stage red has existed forever. And throughout history, a healthy red was just a red that sat long enough with satisfaction to the point where he can look like an orange. Now, in the eras of before, it was not like today, where you could, have big societies that involve complex organization with files and computers. They had different means for organization, like one tax collector was still a thing when there were these people, and so it was a different kind of orange. But it was orange nonetheless. So that's the claim, that the orange ego and the red ego are the same. Now that we've established this premise, which is still a hypothesis, but it's something I'm asserting, that the red and the orange are the same, that might entail that all of the egos are the same, or all the masculine egos, all the first of the two stages, like beige and red and orange and yellow. But specifically, red and orange are correlated. And when someone is unhealthy in orange, they look like a red. And when someone is healthy in red, they look like an orange. It also happens that there is a certain linear growth process, and therefore the red, following this satisfaction concept, will not go through blue simply because he's satisfied. He's satisfied with his lot. He has enough. And therefore he's healthy orange. I mean, he's orange. But what about the blue that he never went through? So it could be on an individual basis. This is the claim. This is the way it is, which would mean that a person can skip an entire stage if the needs of a given stage are taken care of. So this is with the masculine stages, specifically just two. And so the claim would be that if you are unhealthy in red, it's possible that you would be beige, right? And if you were healthy in orange, satisfied, you would automatically be yellow. And this does explain a lot, because there's a lot of oranges who are just way more intelligent than we think. So there's a model, there's a holonic model of all the stages within each of the stages, right? So the holonic model, I employ the holonic idea sometimes, but I like more nuance than even that. I like what I teach and not what that concept entails, right? So I don't teach the holonic model very often. The idea is you can go from red to orange if you're healthy, and you can go from orange to yellow if you're healthy. Oh, but the orange turns into a yellow when he's healthy, because the masculine stages go by two. You skip a stage. You get the healthy version is always the next masculine stage, which means you're not skipping one stage, you're skipping two. This is the hypothesis, okay? And it explains a lot, because you have many oranges who look like yellow, and I know they're not yellow, but the way they think about things is very advanced, that you don't see them among orange. So it's not just a holonic approach, rather it's actually they're in yellow. They skipped a stage. But the side effect is, or the negative setback is, once they get into a bad mood, they can easily reduce back. Now, I haven't thought about enough cases where this is true, but if you look at Henry Ford, was it? There's a guy who I saw him, and he's very healthy. I think it's Henry Ford. I look at the quotes that he says. He is clearly a healthy orange. And I thought to myself, this guy could easily be confused as yellow. Why? Because he's so healthy. But now I'm saying maybe when you're a healthy orange, it turns you into yellow. You skip a stage. But the remnant of his bias and attachment to capitalism makes it clear that he's not yellow. So this could explain how you can have an attachment to capitalism in yellow, is that you're really healthy orange, and perhaps you have such high EQ that you're actually skipping a stage constantly, but you never went through your green. So that could be a phenomenon with this, I coined this the SEM, the satisfied ego model. But satisfaction itself requires exploration, because part of advancing stages is being able to be satisfied, or vice versa. You're not able to be satisfied, so you need another stage to get you satisfied, you see. Like, for example, stage coral, the only way to get into stage teal is if you kind of humble yourself or you force yourself to be satisfied, which is very challenging. So humility usually has to be the way. But that applies to any masculine stage in general. That's my other idea. But because of that, what is that telling you? That humility is what gets you into, satisfaction is what gets you into the next stage. But so is it humility or is it satisfaction? And this can teach you that humility is satisfaction. That when you decide to give up, then you move into the next stage. But if you're moving into the next stage, I thought you said that you're going to skip a stage if you're healthy. So what we learn from here is that if you're satisfied with the needs that you're being fulfilled in a given stage, then you'll skip a stage, so long as you have no depression, right? So it's satisfaction minus depression equals skipping a stage, which also lends ideas like the whole purpose of a feminine stage is to cool off the masculine heat or the masculine confidence, right? That pattern. But if you're satisfied, then you don't need the feminine to kind of balance you out. You don't need another polarity to balance you out. You just go to the next polarity, the next sequence. So this is another idea that came to me. And that also needs to be explored. Because the feminine, you would think it's linear, and you would think you would have to go through a linear process, but you do. There is a side effect. If you get upset in the next stage, then you'll probably revert. And you'll have to test that out and look and see how it's working. And would you revert to the previous stage, the feminine stage, or would you go to the original masculine stage? Like if you're in yellow and you get sad, depressed, whatever, would you go down to one stage or would you go down 2 stages immediately? How fast does it go? And how intense and stuff like that? That would need to be explored. But I think I've seen this in places where it's relevant to keep an eye out for. So that's the SEM model. And other ideas have been explored, and in the comments, I'll probably add them in exactly what ideas we pinpointed. Maybe I'll label them different things so it stays organized. All right. Have a great day, everyone. I hope you gain from this.